Hello and welcome back once again to After the Credits. Today we're talking about Kingsman, The Golden Circle. This is the sequel to Kingsman, The Secret Service, which came out a few years ago, which I had never seen up until I went to see this movie. I decided I'd watch the first one so I know what's going on in the second one. I actually ended up enjoying the first one about as much as I thought I was going to. I wanted to see it back when it first came out, but due to unforeseen things coming up and getting in the way, just never got around to it. So finally decided to watch it to prepare myself to go into this one. What did I think of this one compared to the first one? It's a continuation of the story, but I feel like the first one was a little bit better. The overall story and construction was a little bit better, but this one wasn't bad. Had I just gone into this not knowing anything about the series, I probably would have enjoyed it a little bit more, but I probably would have been a little bit confused at certain points. So this one basically starts off pretty much where the last one ended. It's a couple months later. The young boy character, Eggy, or whatever his name is, has taken over the role of Galahad in Kingsman, and is now running the front of the tailor shop and whatnot, and also living the double life of a secret agent. Over the course of events, within the first few minutes, one of the computers from Kingsman ends up getting hacked, and all the identities and locations of all the agents gets revealed, and spoiler, everyone gets wiped out with the exception of two people, which were Merlin and Galahad. And the only reason Galahad wasn't wiped out is because he wasn't home at the time. He was off having dinner with his girlfriend's parents, who, if you remember from the first one, he ends up starting a relationship with the princess. So, of course, he's having dinner at the palace with the king and queen, and that's when all hell breaks loose and everyone gets killed. And the only other person who wasn't wiped out was Merlin, because he's not considered an agent, he's considered tech support, so therefore his home address and stuff isn't really on file in the database. So, they're the only two left, and Merlin basically tells Eggy that there's a contingency plan for if this type of thing ever happens. They're supposed to go here, open this vault, and they'll find their contingency plan. So they get there and they open up the vault, and the only thing inside is a bottle of Statesman's whiskey. And they're kind of like, okay, I guess we're just supposed to have a drink to all of our fallen comrades and move on. You know, Kingsman's kind of done. So then, as they're going through drinking the bottle and they get down to the bottom, on the inside of the label there's writing that says, "Made in Kentucky," and the K in Kentucky is the Kingsman emblem. So like, okay, let's go to Kentucky, let's go to Statesman, you know, maybe there's something there. So they travel to Kentucky, they go on a tour of the Statesman facility, and using their computer technology, they find out that there's an agency similar to theirs that's called Statesman. And at first, Statesman doesn't know about Kingsman, Kingsman doesn't know about Statesman, so Statesman thinks they're spies and captures them and is holding them prisoner at first, until their version of Merlin, you know, their little tech geek person, whose name happens to be Ginger Ale, because all of the Statesman people's code names are named after different drinks, like whiskey, tequila. Their leader's name is Champagne, but they call him Champ. And, of course, their Merlin is Ginger Ale. So she opens up the vault for their contingency plan and finds an umbrella that says Kingsman on it, but the S in Kingsman is the Statesman's logo. So she's like, we're each other's contingency plan, so obviously there's something to this. Let's find out what's going on. So she takes them in to meet Champagne, and he says, well, basically all of our resources are yours. We're basically cousins, whatever. And they use the Statesman's resources to try to figure out who set out this hit on him. And over the course, they find out that the original Galahad is also still alive, which I'm not going to say spoiler because that was kind of revealed from the poster. But he has amnesia. He doesn't remember who he is. So part of the movie is spent trying to get his memories back so he knows who he is. The other part of the movie is trying to track down who took them out and why. And the third plot in the movie is figuring out this new poison that's been put into all the world's drug supplies that is going to end up killing everyone if they don't get the antidote. And then it just kind of plays out similar to how the first one did, but like I said, it's not really as story-driven beyond that. I feel like in the first one, as the story played out, there was still more character development during just the nonsensical fight scenes. There was still stuff that was happening that related to other things, and so on and so forth. And this one, once you get to the fight scenes, that's kind of all it is. Nothing really comes of it. It's not plot driven like it was in the first one. It's just kind of, okay, here's your action scene, and now we'll go back to the story. Where in the first one was like, here's your action scene, but there's story elements going on as well. So, being a movie, of course, there's the happy ending, but I'm not going to tell you all the details of it, because, like I said, Kingsman is a good series so far, and I'll kind of leave that for you guys to judge as you watch it, if it sounds interesting to you and you want to watch it. If you like these types of films, then check it out. But I don't want to spoil every little detail of it for you. So what would I give this as far as a star rating? I would give this one probably a 3.5. And the only reason I'm doing a 3.5 is because I watched the first Kingsman right before this one, Had I watched the first Kingsman a couple years ago when it came out, and then went into this one fresh with just like the vague memories in my mind, I probably would have enjoyed this one a lot more than what I did. But having watched the first one, then going into this one and seeing, okay, there's stuff that they could have done differently in here to make it as appealing as the first one was that they didn't. That kind of stood out more having just watched the first one before going into the second one. Had I not just watched the first one, I probably wouldn't have noticed all those little details because it would have been a couple years past in my mind. And I probably would have thought this one was just as good, and it probably would have gotten closer to a 4. But because I watched them back to back like that, I do see these little holes in the overall concept. So for that, it gets a 3.5. So that's pretty much all I have to say about this one. Again, as always, thank you guys for watching. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, share the video. The links are down in the description. Click the bell next to the subscribe button so you get notifications every time I post new content. And until next time, I'll see you after the credits.